Click the Custom Panels link at the top of any page. Once there, click this new Advanced Designer link to be brought to the page where you can choose what type of panel you'd like to design. You can choose from electrical gang plates, rack mount panels, and wall mount panels. Choose the type of panel you'd like to edit. Choose the size. And now you'll be brought to the editing page. Once here, you can begin adding connectors to your panel. Click the Add button. You'll be presented with a window where you can choose the type of connector you'd like to use, the variation if there's any available, the connector part number. If the connector can be rotated, you can choose that here. And the type of labeling, if you would like to label your connector, you can choose from our plastic DP type labeling tabs, which come in a variety of colors. And you can also choose to have the labeling engraved directly on the panel. If you choose any of those labeling options, you can then type in your label. You'll see it show up here on the image. Click Use this connector. Now you can begin placing the connector on the panel where you choose. Just click to place it on the panel, and you can continue to place the same connector in the same fashion. If you'd like to add a different connector, just go back to the Add button, choose a different connector from the list, make any changes you want to make, click Use this connector, and you can then add that connector to your panel as well. If you would like to edit a connector on the panel, click the Edit button and choose the connector you would like to edit. You can now change any aspect of that connector from the part number to the rotation to the labeling. I'll change the labeling here. Click the Save button and you'll see that that label has changed on the panel. If you would like to change things about multiple connectors, you can either hold Control on your keyboard and click multiple connectors, or you can click and drag across multiple connectors to select them. Once done, you can click on anything that you've selected in the group, and you can now do the same changes. I will change this to a different connector but leave the labeling the same. Hit Save, and you see that all of the connectors in the bottom row have now changed to that new connector. If you would like to delete connectors from the panel, just hit this Delete button, and then you can go through and click on individual connectors you would like to delete, or you can click and drag across a group of connectors and delete the group by clicking on them or hitting the Delete on your keyboard. If you would like to copy a connector on the panel, click the Copy button, click on the connector you would like to copy, and then we'll create a copy that you can then drag onto the panel. You can continue to do this if you like. If you would like to copy a group of connectors, you can click and drag across the entire group. Click on the group, and it will copy the entire group for you to place on the panel as a group. If you would like to move a connector once it's placed on the panel, click this Move button, and then click the connector you'd like to move, and now you can move it to your new spot on the panel. If you would like to move a group of connectors, you can do so the same way as we've done with the other groupings. You can click and drag, select multiple connectors, and then click on that group and move the entire group. Once you have connectors on the panel and you would like to try to align them evenly in some way, you can use this Align button. The alignment works by aligning to the last selected connector in a group. So the easiest way to do this would be to hold the Control button on your keyboard, and while holding it, click on the connectors you would like to group together for alignment, and it will use the last connector you choose in that group as the alignment template. So I've selected all the connectors. This one to the far right is the last one I clicked. I can hit the Align button now, and you have choices of aligning these connectors either top to bottom or left to right, and either left, center, or right, or top, center, or bottom. Since these are going left to right, I'm going to choose to align them all to the bottom, and they will use this last selected connector's bottom point as the alignment point. Once I click that and hit close, you'll see that they've all now aligned evenly to the final connector in that group. You can align connectors top to bottom on the panel in the same way. Hold the Control key on your keyboard and then click the connectors you'd like to group. The bottom connector was the last connector I selected, so that'll be used as the reference point for this alignment. Click the Align button. I'm going to align them to their centers. Click that and then click Close. And you can see they're all aligned to the centers of the connectors. If you would like to undo or redo any of your steps, you can use these Undo and Redo buttons. They will either undo or redo your steps in the order they were made. If you would like to start over from scratch and get rid of everything that you've placed on the panel, you can click this Remove All Connectors button. It will prompt you to make sure that you do want to remove everything on the panel. Click OK, and the panel will be cleared for you to start fresh. The Guidelines button will allow you to put a grid on the panel that will allow for easy alignment of connectors either left to right or top to bottom. Click the Guidelines button. You'll be presented with a menu where you can choose a preset grid, or you can create your own custom grid. It shows you a representation of the grid you've chosen, and then once you save it, you can now add connectors to that grid, and you'll see that the lines become bold when you've snapped to that grid to ensure that you're snapping it correctly left to right or top to bottom. If you'd like to create different patterns on your panel, you can change the guidelines during the panel creation stage. As you can see, I have a row of connectors across the top on the existing guidelines. I can then go back and change to a custom grid and change this to 3 across. I can also increase or decrease the distance between the rows and the columns if I want to, or if you click the Reset button, it'll go back to the default. Let's save this, and as you can see now, I have a grid with 3 across instead of the previous grid, which allowed the top row to be aligned 4 across. This allows me to have an evenly distributed group of 4 on the top and 3 on the bottom, and not have to worry about manually placing them to make sure they're in the right place. Once you're finished with the guidelines, you can go back to the None selection, hit Save, and then you can see your panel as you've laid it out without any grids overlaying them. Once you're happy with your finished panel, you can scroll down. You can see a list of all of the connectors that are on the panel as well as the panel that you've chosen. If there's a finish option, you can choose that here. This one has only an option of black. You can also put any special instructions in here in reference to wiring that needs to be included with the panel, which can be discussed later, or other aspects of the panel that we need to be aware of when we make it. You can add the panel to the cart right here. This is the price for the finished panel, including any labeling that you've added on. This was updated as you made all of your changes above. This Generate Link button creates a specific web link for the panel you've created above. It's an easy way for you to either send that link to someone for approval or to save that link for another time if you create the panel and you're not ready to order it quite yet. The link will always be active and it will always relate to the specific panel you've designed. The printable view is an easy way for you to be able to print the details of the panel out if you need to show it to someone outside of the computer. Once you click that, it will bring up a new tab. It'll show you an image of the panel you've designed, a reference ID that we can reference here, some details about the panel, and also the connectors that are being used on the panel. From here, you can just do Control P to print the screen, and you'll see that it will print the front and back of the panel so you have all the details that you can use. I've made a sample 2-gang electrical plate here showing you the same connector but with different types of labeling. The first one is the DP type plastic tab labeling, and I have the label above the connector so you can see that there, and it shows the border around the label. That'll be the tab that shows. The rest of these are all engraved type labeling. This is engraving above the connector. This one shows what the labeling would look like if you choose the left side of the connector, as well as if you choose the right side of the connector. Just to give you an idea what the different types of labelings are and what their placement looks like if you choose them. If you scroll down a little bit, this is one of the panels where you can choose different finishes. It defaults here to stainless steel. We also have these types of panels in black and also in white. You can see the description will change when you change those, so you know what you've chosen. If you have any questions about the use of this page or would like to discuss additional options available for custom panels, such as logos or other things that can be engraved beyond the scope of this design page, please call us at 800-572-7280, or you can email us at orders@redco.com. Thank you.